At 7 p.m., we're calling to order today's meeting of the Brattleboro Development Review Board. It is October 16, 2019. We only have one application tonight, and what we're going to try to do is be a little bit prompt here for the sake of you folks, and because our meetings are usually pretty long, so we want to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, sorry to have to get you all out for this, but...
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Some people are going to get an earlier supper than usual. I know that your application has been before us before.
Yes.
I do the same opening remarks at every meeting, whether there's members of the public or not, and so pardon me because you've probably heard this before, but I'm going to give you the same.
I could review them again. Thank you.
Well, then you may as well hear them again. So, at the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. What that means is that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that because we are on the record, this is your only opportunity to comment on and provide evidence related to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the Environmental Court, the court will not take or consider new evidence or testimony at its hearing. Instead, it will look at the evidence from this hearing at the DRB, the regulations or applicable law, and it'll determine if the evidence supports the findings and decision of this board. Only interested people that participate in this proceeding tonight may appeal a decision made by the board, so I strongly encourage you to speak up at this hearing. Because we're on the record, I'm going to ask that you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give is truthful. So if you think there's even a small chance you're going to speak, I'm going to swear you in now. And one of you had better get sworn in because somebody needs to. Do you hereby swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the cause under consideration will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury? Okay. That was a yes, right? Okay. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed. That means four votes out of 7. Do we have any conflicts tonight? Okay, so we have a procedure when we have less than 7, but we don't really need to talk about that. Okay. After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. And while we might vote at an application during the hearing orally, it's the written decision that controls the timeline for an appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications, but the town has no special status before this board. The documents provided to us by the town planning department, the town attorney, or any other town department or employee will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant or any member of the public. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from our meeting of September 18th, 2019.
I so move.
Second.
So moved, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Bannon, has our meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Do any board members have any conflicts of interest or have they had any ex parte communications related to the applicant?
Nine.
No,
You're not related to Sharon Gentry, are you?
I'm not.
Okay.
She's with the law firm, right?
She's with my law firm.
Oh, okay.
That's why I
Yeah, no,
asked.
I've been here for like 40 years. I think she's fairly new in town.
Well, by Vermont standards, you're right. I think she's been here for only 10 years or so.
She's a piker.
But yes, so as long as you don't have any relation to her, that's easy. So what we tend to do, and we don't really need to do this because we don't have any members of the public, but on the off chance they come in, I'd like you two to sit up here, or whoever's going to talk to sit up
Both
here.
of us are going to talk.
If you're both going to speak, if you could sit up there, that's better for the microphone.
Yeah.
That microphone does not amplify you. It's for the people who are watching at home.
All those people, yes.
You would be surprised.
You'd be
Oh, really?
You would be
surprised.
surprised.
I'm sure my mother-in-law is watching.
You do? Are you?
It's not a live broadcast.
No, it's
but
not
it'll
live,
get
but
in
it's-
rotation.
We have a devoted audience.
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
if
I
we
watch
do
town
think-
meeting on BCTV, of course, but,
If we have people who come and they're not near the microphone, I will hear about it.
oh,
I will hear about it.
okay.
But anyway, if you could please just tell us a little bit about your application. It doesn't have to be in a high level of detail, but the less detail you give us, probably the more questions we're going to ask.
Okay,
And that's fine.
Okay, it's a little over a 10-acre parcel of my original land, which it's at the bottom of my property. It fronts Bonnyvale Road, and one side of it is on the driveway, which is now called Bonnyvale Lane. We had to name it when, one came through before even, because we just had the 4 original houses on there. That's all there are. And I don't know what to say, except that I think we're appearing before you because there seemed to be some question about an extra residence on this driveway. So I've brought Tim Hamilton, who is a neighbor and a friend in full disclosure, but he's been maintaining my driveway for the 40 years almost that I've owned the house, and my in-laws before it. So he knows the driveway, and I'll let him take over and tell you what he did with Brian and what his opinion is. I think you have the map there that he drew that Brian had asked him.
And while you tell us whatever you're going to tell us, can you tell us how stormwater comes off the driveway? I'm happy to have you tell us other things too, but I'm going to want to know.
The road is an easy road to maintain in that it had culverts put in when it was first built. And because it's all wood, both sides of the road, for the most part, there's nothing accumulates. Very absorbent ground. And so maintaining the road surface and keeping it good is relatively easy every couple of years. The issue was with the subdivision is to just make it more, to have a passing area along the roadway, which there is a small one there now, but you wouldn't be able to pass a fuel truck or a UPS truck. Yeah. And so there are 3 to 4 pine trees that are up at her end of the road that are within a couple of feet of the road. So by removing them, it would be easier for winter maintaining, and then just make this passing area a little more adequate. There's already on the hairpin turn on the drawing, there's a very adequate turnaround for any vehicle short of a semi-vehicle up there.
I don't even know why they couldn't, because it
Yeah,
goes
but anyway, so Brian observed that when he went with me up there that one time. It was pretty minimal what would need to be done to meet up with the standards.
Mr. Hamilton, is the road crowned so that basically the runoff is on both sides fairly evenly along it?
It all has to go either through culverts. I mean, the straightaway heading down to Bonnyvale Road runs on both sides,
Yeah.
and just dissipates into the woods. And up in the upper area where the trees would be removed and the turnaround, then it comes under through culverts and just goes into the woods from there. So there's no lengthy runoff, and the woods just absorb it all. There's no direct stream, no down to the stream by Bonnyvale itself.
It's all somewhat on a hillside, of course, too, so it
Sure.
drains the natural way.
Are there any trails that the public use in the area that's going to be developed?
Not that I know of. I mean,
I assume you've walked around it and you're fairly familiar with it, right?
Tim or me? Oh, I'm very familiar with that.
Anybody?
Yeah, I'm in the woods all the time. When my
Okay.
grandchildren come to visit, they build forts. And,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. So you would know if there was a heavily trafficked trail back there, probably.
Well, it's really a private road. I mean, the Bonnyvale Lane has the private sign on it. I was very worried about naming our driveway because I thought it might invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry up there, but I
Right.
lost the fight about it. So, it's posted, so there's no hunting, of course, and there's a private sign at the bottom. So I get UPS truck up occasionally and things like that, but my vendors and stuff. But basically, it's I don't have any trespassers, if that's what you're sort of inferring.
Well, I was thinking more like, is there a hiking trail that people
No.
go along?
There's like an old logging road
Uh-huh.
that the people who bought the top piece of the property, which is why I appeared here before, about 4 or 5 years ago, I forget exactly, they bought it for the extension of their own property, which fronts Bonnyvale, to protect it. So they walk up there once in a while. They take a walk down Bonnyvale and then up Bonnyvale Lane to their property and then walk back across and ford the stream somehow. I don't know how they do that, but you know, that's the only people really I ever see even walking on my driveway, except the one who lives down from me who walks his dog.
It's not like Round Mountain Trail.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Is that the Chapman?
Well, Chapman,
Anderson's, isn't it?
well, the Andersons bought the house that lived way up on Bonnyvale.
Yeah.
I mean, own the house that bought the property that's contiguous with theirs of mine to protect theirs. They just wanted it to stay, you know, undeveloped. Chapman is an old name. You're looking at
I'm looking at the survey.
Okay,
because-
right. Chapman was the one that lived at the bottom. She has since died, Alice Chapman. She was a sixth grade teacher in town for years and years. That's actually owned by the children of the same people that live in the middle house.
The Mayhews.
Yeah, well, it's, Olya and Eeyore.
Iowa and Olga.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think how they pronounce it. Markey, Markiw. They've been neighbors for 30 years anyway. And then the house at the, close to the bend has just been sold recently. That was owned by Judge Gressing for a lot of years. But when he died, it got sold to some people whose name I can't even remember now. They lived there for about 2 years, and now the people who are there is a father and his daughter. We have little hill parties occasionally. It's a very congenial little group, but those houses have been there for all the years, just about that we've owned the house, the original house at the top.
Are the utilities to your property buried, power lines and such?
No, they're above ground.
They're poled,
Yeah, they're on poles.
and that's what the new property would be served by to an extension of
Uh-huh.
that?
It comes right by their property, between their property and the driveway, which, I mean, they would have obviously rights and responsibilities of the driveway too,
Sure.
I'm assuming, whoever buys it.
Is there a right-of-way already, or is your plan after the subdivision to put that?
I don't know where they would want to put it, you know, I mean, where they bend off of what is the existing Bonnyvale Lane, which is the driveway originally, would depend on where they're probably gonna exactly site any dwelling. I have very specific things about what the dwelling would have to be, just to protect my neighbors and me. I mean, it has to be a house, and can't be a 2x4 or something. I mean, a lean-to. But, I think it would depend how far up on the hillside they would want. It's to clear the trees and build, and they probably want the driveway to be, I mean, they can go off anywhere because there's no impediment. It's just the slight culvert that they'd have to figure out a way across. But,
And I think you said the tree removal is not that extensive, 3 or 4 trees?
yeah, that's what,
Say that again?
The tree removal for the passing area, or the pull-off, whatever you want to call it, it's not that extensive, 3 or 4 trees?
No, they're all fallable trees. They don't have to have a tree company, and it's stuff that I do anyway.
And it'll remain fairly heavily forested. It's not going to look that different to the untrained eye.
oh, no, not at all. It'll just make it a little safer for passage. And those are the trees that Brian cited, I believe, if I'm correct, with Tim when you were on the visit. So that's why those were decided.
I wanted to get my orientation here. We're working from this map. I don't know if you've seen this one.
This one?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
okay,
no.
the survey.
The survey.
Yeah.
So am I presuming,
I can come look at it with you since I don't have a
Sure.
copy. I didn't bring
you don't mind?
No, not at all.
But I'm picturing myself driving up Bonnyvale Road,
Mhm.
and it sort of, if I remember, the road sort of zips around a
Yeah,
little bit.
there's a fair.
Yeah, and then, so you're, what we're talking about is right there off to the left. And then Mather Road's the one that connects over
Yes,
to Greenleaf?
exactly.
Okay, that
Yep.
gives me
Yep.
an orientation.
Yeah, okay.
And so your house is presumably here.
Let me get oriented again now.
Is this your house?
Yes,
up there?
that's my house. Yeah, that's my house. This is the one that's been sold.
Yeah,
to
and
the
that's the
Andersons.
property they bought to sort of,
This is just all the rest of my
Oh,
property.
I get it.
It's been subdivided so that if I wanted
Yeah.
to, but it's
Yeah.
not as accessible, and the road that shows here is really like a logging road that would have to be, it's not, the driveway actually bends around a hairpin here and then comes into my
yeah, it would.
house there.
And then just for the lay of the land is if you're Bonnyvale Road here, you're sort of up, it goes up a hill
Yes,
there,
it
doesn't it? So it all goes
up
up.
to my back wall up here,
Yeah.
bucks Dr. Dompier's house, and
Okay.
his house is actually on Thayer Ridge Road, which is the road
Thayer
over South
Ridge.
Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so mine goes just about to the crest of that hill, and then it starts.
Oh, okay, okay. So some of the properties that come off of Bonnyvale end up going up against the
They
properties
do,
that come off
they do,
South
because
Street.
Bonnyvale bends around this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. I sort of know this area a little bit.
Sure.
I know it very well, having lived there all these years.
Other questions for the applicant?
How many people use East Bonnyvale Lane?
Well, I'm the original house, and then the three that are shown on the left side of the driveway as you go up. All those houses have been there for at least 30, well, they've all been there since before I moved in.
These would be the ones that would appear here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you follow?
That's what I
kinda
assumed.
wondered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've just,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, they've all been there for like more than 40 years, because I've lived in the house that I'm in now, that my in-laws owned it from 65 on. And I think they were built, well, as a matter of fact, I know one of them was built right after that house was built in 55, because they built it on spec. That was the Chapmans, actually. And she
Okay.
built the first one, then she sold that and ended up living in one at the bottom. But she's, as I said, she's passed now, so she's not.
And it looks as though the road and what would be considered the right-of-way is being retained by your property.
Yes, they pay a sixth of the plowing bill, each one of them down at that end. And when Tim has to come maintain it, which is every few years, grade it or whatever, just because it's, as he said, it's pretty easy to maintain, thank goodness, because that cost
And-
me a fair buck.
And this new lot will be using that same access?
Well, it used the bottom part, because I assume they're gonna take their own driveway off like right across from one of those houses there, depending on where they site their house. I would think they'd want it to be as efficient as possible getting into the garage or whatever they're gonna have with their,
And you will have something in the deed that you sell to them, that they're responsible for the maintenance and
Right,
the plowing and everything else?
the 1/6 of the driveway, that's the way.
It'll be
the
1/6?
That's because they're on the bottom half, they're less than the bottom half, so they're, it's just, that's the way it's been worked out. I mean, I'm okay with it, so, and the other three are doing that now, so that's the way, I've talked about with my realtor, that we would write the.
No, it's always good to make sure that that's in the deed, that everybody
Right,
knows.
they need to understand it, yeah.
Everybody knows that they're responsible
Right.
for paying for the maintenance, and
Right.
everything's written up in the deed.
I mean, I don't know if they would have a choice, maybe Brian would know, of putting their own driveway in off of Bonnyvale and not have to deal with any of that, but they have to get across the stream there, so that, I think it might be cheaper or more efficient for them to just go off the current driveway,
Yeah, they would have to get additional approvals to do
Right.
that.
Right, they probably would.
That would be if they didn't have other options.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's fairly easy. I mean, the driveway is very adequate at that end for sure, where the three are already using it, so, yeah.
I think it probably makes sense to add a condition requiring that there be an easement for this property owners.
Pardon me?
I think it probably makes sense to add a condition
Yeah.
requiring that there be an
Yeah.
easement for lot 3 from Bonnyvale Lane.
East
Make-
Bonnyvale.
East Bonnyvale Lane, they can
Yeah,
figure out
right.
where it goes. Other questions?
Yeah, I know that you came over and talked to Ian about the map, which is I'm looking at, because, forget the other one.
Can we give her a copy of the map?
Yeah, she can
follow
take
No,
along?
I've got it right here.
Oh,
Oh,
you want me to come
No, I
over?
want her to be able to
Sure.
follow
all right,
you.
then follow it on there,
Thank you.
because
Sure.
apparently on the other side of Bonnyville Road, there is the Meadow Corporation. If you look on the map and that part of it,
Yeah,
you have a highlighted area that has absolutely no dark line to show the connection.
let's see, I'm not sure, are you talking about across Bonnyvale Road?
Now, I'm talking about this little part right here.
Wait a minute, let me come see, because I think it'll be easier if I can.
Oh, I think that yellow line's not supposed to be there.
Well, then, this right here, this one right here.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that may be the stream? I think that's the stream.
So this is, there's nothing that crosses over
No.
that way.
No, No, that's just the regular, yeah, I mean, I didn't make this drawing, so forgive it, but it's not the same kind of line as this. That's the way the stream goes, I think. There used to be like a
Right.
beaver pond up here that I think that has been undammed by the
So
beaver.
where does this tree removal
Oh.
come in?
Right in here, right up in here. See, what we're doing is, this is upside down to this, right? So,
Right.
you know, sort of, if we come off
I'd rather
Bonnyvale.
skip this one, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
now we're the opposite, the other way.
All right,
Okay, so now we're oriented the same way. See, this is Bonnyvale Lane. East
Right.
Bonnyvale Lane, rather.
right,
Okay, here's East Bonnyvale Lane.
right,
And when it comes up, it goes by the three houses that are here, boop, boop, boop.
yeah,
And then it goes around the bend and the trees that,
right in this area.
yes, that are in this area. Right.
So if somebody uses this property, how would they exit? Their only exit would be to Bonnyville
Come-
Lane? That's it?
Come off the Bonnyvale Lane. but-
Okay,
yeah,
that's
and the
where
other
their driveways would have
yeah,
to
well, the
go?
other driveways go off there too.
Okay,
So
all right,
that's the way, yeah.
all
I mean, there's
right.
plenty of room for it.
So the sort of layout of East Bonnyville Lane has that big long sort of, or the first part is a very straight section
It is.
that has the three houses shared. And so
right.
the idea is the new parcel
Which is
would,
have a driveway across from theirs.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I have a question for Brian. What is the allotted amount of space, you know, if somebody were to build a house on that spot, how many, are we limited to the amount of acres?
You could have, I believe it's in the rural residential district. Yeah, so it's 1.5 acres per unit.
So they could reasonably put in 9 houses there?
They could subdivide it again in the future, but that would be a different approval.
Okay,
I'm hoping they don't, obviously, because we don't want that kind of density there. That's why I'm trying to sell it as a 10-acre parcel.
okay,
Yeah, and we're only approving it for one house.
Okay,
Anything more than
all
that,
right.
they'd have to come back.
checking.
I mean, the idea is it's so lovely and private where we are on that hill, and yet we're 5 and 10 minutes to town. So it's, you know, it's appealing for a lot of people, and I think people like the idea of privacy if they move to a place like that, so.
Sure. Other questions? Is the road short back? Is the road short back?
Yeah, it's stone dust, it's, yeah, sure, back, same, yeah,
Glad you're here, I wouldn't have known.
yeah.
All right, so my thought is it's probably appropriate to have a motion to approve application 2019-137 with conditions requiring that there be an easement for the benefit of the new lot from East Bonnyvale Lane, that the stormwater improvements be satisfactory to keep the stormwater off the road, that the new home be oriented for solar power if possible, to the extent possible. Location of the future home site reviewed by the board for compatibility, forest cover to be maintained, and that road and stormwater elements not impact the wetlands. I guess
I so move.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your coming before us tonight.
Well, I appreciate your coming to hear it.
No problem.
Theirs, that's his, isn't it?
Good luck.
Thank you.
I think it's appropriate to hear a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
I move we adjourn.
second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0.
Well, thank you very much for.
And that's what every meeting is like.
Yeah, every meeting's like that, yeah.
What was that record one we had?
When did it go?